Programming is difficult, crazy, right? Now, this is obvious to some of you, while some of you are like,
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
There are some people, newbies mostly, who think it is easy. I blame those life vlogs with 1 hour coding and 7 hours eating, or gurus who shout learn this and land a fat job in 3 to 6 months.
I absolutely love this.
But surprisingly, programming, just the coding part, is the easy stuff. Programming looks simple at a glance, right? Toss some code that computers understand. Truth is, it's a lot wilder because it needs sharp logic, figuring stuff out, and truly knowing the problem you're fixing and the tools in your kit. So, in my dumbed-down words, programming isn't coding.
Shut the f up.
People miss the key pieces of programming, which is the mindset and thinking like a developer. And that's what makes it difficult for everyone, especially for the noobs. It's easy to say, just go pick up some JavaScript. It's simple, bro. You'll nail it in a week, bro. But they don't warn you about the imposter vibes, the late night code grinds, and those times you're sure programming ain't your thing. It's something that tutorials and books can't teach. You have to live it yourself. Let me break down this thinking like a developer thing and drop some tips to grow this thinking faster. Imagine learning to design a website by only copying layouts. You might know to drop a header up high, menu on the side, and a footer. And with that, you can build a decent page. But what if the client hates the design or the site bugs out? If you just memorize the design, you might be at a loss because you get the pieces but not the principles behind them. This is like learning programming languages without understanding the underlying principles of programming. So you're just a lamer version of ChatGPT. Knowing Python or JavaScript is like having a recipe stuck in your brain. Sure, it's important, but it's not the full picture. You can learn all the syntax, but the real question is, do you know how to use the syntax? Here's an example. Let's say you figured out variables, loops, and lists. You then figure out how to make a list of numbers and print each one with a for loop. The basic tutorial walked you through it like that, and the next step is to find average of these numbers, and the tutorial did it like this. But let's say I'm a mean professor who says no sum function because it's too simple. In order to calculate the average under this constraint, you need to understand what the sum function is doing. It's just adding all the elements, simple stuff. In the tutorial, you've learned how to iterate over list with a for loop and perform basic arithmetic operations. So here's another way to approach it. The tutorial didn't flat out tell you this, but it gave you all you need to sort it out. This case is simple and kind of dumb, but trust me, you'll run into this junk all the time. Stuff like you can't use this library, banned frameworks, or some handy function just doesn't exist in another language. In designing a website, it's like tweaking a layout when a client's got weird demands. Maybe they hate buttons everywhere. You've got to ditch them and figure something else out. The tutorial didn't spell out that fix, and no web class did either, but knowing why buttons matter lets you switch it up smart. In designing websites, once you grasp the basics, you can start playing around and building your own layouts. You're not just copying templates, you're making them from scratch. The same goes for programming. This is a programmer's mindset, tackling problems and thinking logically. It's not just about how to code, it's about what to code. To build something new or kill a glitch, you split it into small chunks and hit them one by one. Tutorials skip this a lot as it's not something you can just learn from them. I can give you all the advice in the world, and you might even pick things up quickly. But at the end of the day, if you want to truly get good, you need to struggle through things yourself. Courses and tutorials do a great job of explaining concepts, but they're designed to teach, not to force you to think critically. That's why so many people know a lot in theory but struggle in practice. The trick is to mix learning with actual problem solving. If you rely only on tutorials, you'll never develop the ability to work things out alone. It's that mess where you leaned on tutorials too much and didn't try enough alone, and that's when you hit tutorial hell. And unfortunately, you may never escape it. Tutorial hell's that spot where you binge tutorials and copy tons of examples, but you still can't fix new or odd stuff. It's an easy trap to fall into. That's why the learning curve in programming is so steep. You need a balance of tutorials and working on your own. But escaping tutorial hell doesn't mean ditching tutorials altogether. It's about using them the right way. Tutorials are like crutches. They hold you up at the start, but you're meant to walk without them later. The real learning happens when you try what you've learned in different situations. So many people stop before they hit that stage because programming isn't easy. So you may ask, what should I do? Well, let me give you some tips to grow this programmer's mindset. The first tip is project-based learning. This is the fastest way to level up your programming skills. That's right, because building things forces you to think, solve problems, and become a real programmer. No amount of passive learning will get you there like rolling up your sleeves and creating something. Plus, you'll end up with a portfolio, which means experience, which means job, which means money, and you see where I'm going with this. Now, my second tip, break problems down. Please get really good at this. This is a game changer. Start by breaking programming tasks into smaller, simpler pieces. This method turns even the toughest problems into something you can handle and gives you easy starting spots. Let's say you need to build a program that spots and shows the top 3 most common words in a list. Sounds overwhelming? Let's break it. First, just go through the list and count how many times each word appears. Still too much? Let's break it further. How about just running through the list? That's simple. Just use a simple for loop. All we have to do now is count the frequency, so we can use a dictionary to keep track of that. And boom, we've cracked the mini job of checking and counting. Now we can hit the full problem. I'm leaving it it to you to wrap up because you need to get sharp at this. Instead of getting stuck staring at a massive task, break it into bite-sized steps and crush them one by one. That's how you build problem-solving skills, and that's how you pass technical interviews. Alright, now for the third tip, the Feynman Technique. If you can't explain a concept in simple terms, you don't really understand it. Try teaching it to someone, even if that someone is just you, talking out loud like a maniac. This will instantly reveal your weak spots, help you retain information better, and make you a sharper developer. You'll realize that you don't actually get half the things you thought you did, but that's good, because now you know what to fix. And now my favorite tip, fail a lot. Failure isn't a bug, it's a feature. Every error, every bug, every frustrating hour you spend debugging makes you better. You want to know why experienced developers can find bugs so fast, because they've already made those mistakes 100 times before. So stop being afraid of failure, it's literally your best teacher. And here's another critical one, practice consistently and for a decent amount of time. No, 20 minutes a day won't cut it. You can't expect to grasp real programming concepts in small sessions. If you're just doing simple coding problems, sure, fine, whatever. But for actual development, you need at least an hour or more per session to get into a flow state. No shortcuts. Finally, stop comparing yourself to others. You're competing with yesterday's version of yourself, not with some dude who's been coding for 10 years. Everyone starts somewhere, and every little win counts. Learned a new concept? Wrote your first program? That's progress. Own it, enjoy the process, and keep going. Now go break some code, build some projects, and get to work. This is Beyond Bounds, and I will see you in the next video.